Hi, I'm Reveena and welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to give you a how-to guide of how to make the most brilliant tomato sauce you have ever tasted. So let's go over the ingredients so that we can get started. So for this recipe, all you're going to need are 1 to 2 small onions. You're going to need a very generous pinch of oregano. It's hard to OD on oregano. A smaller pinch of basil, just a little bit of chili, some chopped up garlic. How much? You can never have too much garlic, so 3-4 cloves. We're going to need some canned tomatoes, and here I'm using some penne, but you can use whatever pasta you'd like. A bit of balsamic vinegar, olive oil, of course, salt, pepper, basil, and Parmigiano Reggiano just to finish the dish off. So let's talk tomatoes. You want canned Italian tomatoes because they have less liquid and more pulp, which means that you will get a thicker, more concentrated sauce in less time. San Marzano is a really popular brand, but I find them quite expensive, and I don't find it to be a better value than other canned Italian tomatoes. These are great. This is the Vitali brand. I really like Fiamma tomatoes, but seriously, whatever you can get, use, but you're looking for a canned tomato with a list of like 3 to 4 ingredients. Tomatoes, tomato juice, basil, salt. Basil is optional, but you're not looking for any other flavoring. Do that yourself. The tomatoes here are just beautiful. And they taste good. They don't taste too acidic. They don't taste salty. They just taste like pure tomatoes. Okay, we're ready to get started. I've got this pot filled with water, and once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add a generous amount of salt. You always want to wait for the water to come to a boil before adding salt because salt water is denser and therefore takes longer to boil. And I have this pan on medium heat, and I'm just going to add around 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Not extra virgin olive oil, just regular olive oil. And to that, I'm going to add the onions. After around 5 minutes, the onions have started to soften. And all I'm going to do now is add the garlic, a good pinch of chili, and the longer you cook the sauce for, the spicier your chili will make the sauce. So if you're going to leave the sauce cooking for 40 minutes, which you can totally do, then go easy on the chili. And if you're going to leave the sauce cooking for like 10 minutes, as I normally do, you can add a little bit more. So I'm also going to add a pinch of basil and a lot of dried oregano. It's very hard to go overboard on dried oregano. You're at the stage where it's sort of getting brown and sort of getting crispy, like the garlic almost wants to burn, which is bad. So we're going to liberally season, put a good grinding of salt, or sprinkling, if you sprinkle your salt. Now I'm going to add around 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And this is the most brilliant trick, because it's like, in a lot of tomato sauces, you put in wine, and then you have to wait for the wine to cook down, and that takes forever. We also never have wine open, so I use balsamic vinegar. And it doubles as that like kind of kick of flavor and that pinch of sugar which you often add. And now we just add our canned tomatoes, and we're basically done. So I put my tomatoes in, and since they're whole tomatoes, I'm just breaking them up with a spoon. Very, very, very easy. And once they're in, I like to give them the 7 minutes that it takes to cook my pasta, which I'm putting into my salted water. This is so perfect. You have your 1 can of tomatoes, 28 ounces, 1 package of pasta, 500 grams, which will feed anywhere from 3 to 5.5 people, depending on how hungry you are, and if you put anything else in the pasta. The pasta is cooked, the sauce is done, of course, taste it. I just added a little bit of salt, but other than that, the seasoning was perfect. And I'm now going to throw in my fresh basil, but you can totally use parsley, and parsley is awesome because it keeps in the fridge for weeks. We're talking 2 to 3 weeks, easy. I'm gonna add my pasta, and I drained it. I think the term is, my gosh, I'm gonna just butcher this Italian, but it's con la gocce, which basically means with a drop. So you want to leave a little bit of water in the pan, and that salty, starchy water will allow the sauce to cling to the pasta better. Yum! and the heat of the pasta just kind of wilts the basil in the most beautiful, beautiful way. You can, of course, puree the tomatoes if you want to and create a smooth sauce, but I quite like it chunky. Now this would be the stage where you add the Parmesan and it kind of would create a little bit of an ooey gooiness, but not everyone in my family eats cheese, so I'm gonna leave it on the side and just kind of sprinkle a little bit on top. I have to taste. This pasta dish is fantastic. I highly encourage you to try it. It's a classic, it's easy, it's simple. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe, like this video if you liked this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Buon appetito!